everybody, welcome back. I'm your host, Jenny Marioni, and this is Cooking with Class. We are going to do a little bit of a fit, fun episode today. We're going to be using avocado specifically, and we're going to make avocado fries. Sounds a little weird, but trust me, they're delicious. You're going to want to make them ASAP once you see this. And then we're also making a creamy avocado pasta, which is going to kind of act like a pesto pasta, but then again with avocado. Okay, so like I said, today we're going to be using gnocchi, which is a famous Italian potato pasta. And I always put my strainer in the sink so that when the pasta is ready, I can just transfer it right to the sink and toss it right in there. So we are having the water boil right now. I threw in a little bit of sea salt because sea salt tends to make your water boil faster. So now that it's at a boil, I'm just going to dump in the gnocchi and set the timer for 8 minutes. And the way you'll know that gnocchi is done is that once a few of the potatoes start to float up to the top, that means it's getting to be al dente, and then once they all start to fall to the top, you just can either scoop them out with a straining spoon or just transfer them to a big strainer. Okay, while we're waiting for the pasta to boil, I'm going to set up our panko breadcrumb station. So what we're going to need is a 1/4 cup of flour. Like I said, I'm using whole wheat. And that also, whole wheat's better to use when you're breading anything just because it's a thicker, more, has more of a texture compared to all-purpose bleached flour. So I'm going to use a 1/4 cup. And it doesn't have to be exact because this is just to bread the avocados. I'm going to put that in one bowl. Add a little bit more. Then I'm going to need 1 1/4 cup of the breadcrumbs, and I'm using garlic and herb just to add more flavor, but you can get regular, you can get Italian style, whatever you feel like. It's really just based on your preference. So there's 1. There's 2. All right. Now we're going to need 2 large eggs. I'm using brown, but you can use white or whatever you'd like. And if you're doing more than 2 servings of these fries, you're going to want to double your recipe. So you're going to want to use 4 eggs instead. And then you're going to want to lightly beat it. So as you can see, the gnocchi's boiling up, which means it's ready. So we're going to transfer that to this strainer, and we'll be ready to go. Okay, so now that we have our gnocchi, as you can see, it pretty much keeps its same size, doesn't grow or anything, but you can tell that they're a little bit more tender and soft to the touch. So we're going to transfer this to our pasta bowl and add a little bit of extra virgin olive oil so that the pasta doesn't stick to itself, because once it cools down, if you don't add a little bit of olive oil or some butter to it, the pasta will stick to it, and then you won't be able to get your sauce fully incorporated. Make sure it's all nice, evenly lathered. And then you always want to make sure to save a cup of the cooking water from the pasta, just so that when you're making homemade sauces, it helps to keep some of their excess water, because it has a little bit of flour still attached to it from the pasta when it was originally dunked in the water. All right, now that we have our egg wash ready and our pasta waiting, we're going to cut our avocados. So I'm going to use 2 pretty ripe avocados. They're soft to the touch, but not totally ready, because you still want them to be able to resemble fries, so they have that hard texture. All right, and then we're going to peel off the skin. So as you can see, the avocados are cleaned out. So we're going to flip them over on their backs. And you're just going to do nice, thick slices. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So into about 5 different slices. All right. And now we are going to dip them in the egg wash. So first you're going to start with the flour. You just want to lightly powder it. Give it a nice little light look. You can still see the green through it. Then you're going to dip them in the egg wash. then dip in the breadcrumbs. So it should look pretty powdered like this once you've done all 3 steps, and then you're going to just drop them on the cookie sheet. Make sure that cooling rack's on top of it though. So as you can see, we've finished our avocados, and this is just 2 avocados. So it makes a pretty good amount of fries. It's definitely enough for 2. And as you can see, most of them are moderately breaded with various spices on them, and we're going to add a little bit of salt and pepper. And now we're going to stick them in the oven for 20 minutes at 450 degrees. All right, so now that they've been in there for about 10 minutes, I'm going to pull the fries out. You can see they're starting to get brown. There we go. And this is when we're going to spray them with a little bit of canola oil and sprinkle them with some Parmesan cheese. Everyone needs a wine break. All right, now we're gonna make our pasta sauce. So we're gonna start with 1 cup of spinach, I'm sorry. 1 cup of spinach, the leafy green. And we're gonna toss it into the food processor. Remember, you can always double this recipe if you wanna have a thicker sauce. But I'm just gonna stick to the regular one because we're gonna keep it nice and light tonight. And you're just going to want to blend this first. And you're going to add a couple tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. And then you make sure to tear off the ends of your basil. And this is really just basically based on your preference of spices, how much you like basil, how much you like ginger, lime, etc. This is all just based on your preference and what tastes yummy to you. And you can either cut the lime and squeeze it in, or you can grate it. So if you have a grater at home, I recommend doing that as well, just because it gives it that extra flavor. Squeeze some lime. We're gonna cut up a jalapeno. Now remember, these jalapenos, since they are fresh, they're going to be a lot spicier than store-bought ones in the jar. So I would always recommend starting off with about 1/4 of a jalapeno and working your way up. Add that in. Then add in your avocado, and we want 1 whole ripe avocado. You can cut them into slices, you can just throw the whole thing in there, it's really up to you. Add your Parmesan cheese. I just do usually about 2 handfuls because Parmesan cheese is a very strong, flavorful cheese, so you don't want it to overpower the whole entire sauce. Add a couple dashes of garlic, some ginger. I'll turn it on again, and you want to mix it up. You can pulse it. You can either use a food processor or a blender. It just depends on what you have. I'm going to add some more olive oil. And then also, you want to add your cup of pasta water. And I start about with half. And then if you need more, you can always add more. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and add our pasta sauce to our pasta right now. Lather it all up, and it looks exactly like pesto. All right, like I always say, it's ready. Here we have our creamy avocado pasta sauce with a little bit of Parmesan sprinkled on top, and our baked avocado fries with a side of spicy honey Dijon mustard. I'm your host, Jenny Marioni, and this has been another fabulous episode of Cooking with Class. Cheers.